Happy New Year! My name is Matt Reiners, and I'm the co-founder of Eversound, and welcome back to the second year of the All Ears podcast, where we'll be bringing industry leaders and change makers from across senior living to keep all of our ears informed for a better senior living experience for everyone. We're kicking off this year by continuing the theme of joy after the holiday season. I thought we'd go one step further and bring on my friend Amy Kotterman, Director of Customer Experience with United Church Homes, to talk about Joyologist. Amy is a Visionary Leadership Award winner and has been in the industry holding various roles for over the past 30 years. Thanks for joining me today, Amy.
Thank you very much, Matt. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
So, Amy, I think the million-dollar question here that everybody is wondering, what is a Joyologist?
We get that quite a bit, actually. So this year, United Church Homes, we started out with a pilot project bringing on board a Joyologist. And so a Joyologist was a fun name that actually one of the members of our human resources team kind of threw out there, and it stuck. For many of us, you may look at this role and think they are a retention specialist, a staff retention specialist, or again, a talent ambassador. Actually, one of our Joyologists, she actually likes to use the success ambassador. Really, what this person does is they are a person that is out there building relationships. When we have staff members that are coming into our organization, we want to make sure that they are truly getting integrated into the culture of United Church Homes. And how best to do that? By really just welcoming them, giving them this extravagant welcome, and knowing that, they have the opportunity to join this UCH family. And that really how that all starts is we want to get to know you. We want you to know that this is your purpose, that, you have a purpose, and that you want to serve the residents that we have, throughout United Church Homes. And so it really is engage, engage, engage. How do we get to know you? How do we provide you with the tools, resources, programs, education for you to be successful in the role that you came to be here at, where you work?
I love that. And it's so important too, right? Just to bring that joy. I think sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle of everything going on. But, I'm wondering, what was the inspiration to start the Joyologist program?
So I think, we're not alone. I think if you look nationwide, everybody's out there looking for people to come and work within their organization. And we know that we can recruit people to where it is, but I think where it's really been evident, again, doesn't matter what organization or where you work throughout United States and even the world, you really just want to make sure that we can retain these people. And so you want to make sure that people are coming to you and that they're committed to what your mission and vision is. And so it came about that we really wanted to focus more on retention. And we wanted to make sure that we were providing them with a good experience. I know when when I'm interviewing people for the different roles that I help support, we're always asking them all kinds of questions. And I always end by saying, what questions do you have, of us? Because not only is it important that, you're a good fit for our organization, but we also want to be a good fit for what it is that you want in your life. I think that's, really important as well, to make sure that they're aligned and knowing, that they're going to be committed to the organization and what it is that we want to be able to do to provide abundant life for those people that we serve.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's as much as a fit it is for you, it's a fit for them too. And making sure you're aligned there just ends up, setting it up for success for all parties involved. And I know you mentioned the Joyologist, they're really there to help create relationships and then understanding those persons in those roles and how they can be successful. But, I'm curious, what does a day-to-day typically look like for them?
Okay. So, and first of all, I would like to share. So we've started this program and we currently have 2 Joyologists that work for us. One who was able to start in her role late March, early April, and the other who was able to move into her role in about July. And so really this person comes right alongside them with, our HR team when people are coming on board and they're going through their initial onboarding and coming in for orientation. it really starts with, getting to know those people that are coming to us. So one of the first things that we started with this program is we've created this form. It's an all about me form that just gets to know the individual. And we ask that they fill it out actually as part of their pre-boarding paperwork so that when they're coming in for their first initial orientation, and it has things like, what's your favorite beverage? What is your favorite candy? What is your favorite food, music? I mean, just getting to know them a little bit. What is your shirt size? Or, so that when you come in, we can give you a little bit of our UCH swag or the community swag so that you have something that's your size. That if it's water or a Diet Coke that you prefer, then we have whatever that is for you to drink. It shows right away that we've listened to you, that what it is that's important to you is important to us, and that we're going to, have that available to you because, we want to be able to meet the needs of our residents, but we want to be able to meet the needs of our staff that are doing that. If we want to provide that ultimate customer experience, how can we do that if we're not providing that same for our staff? So let's get to know one another. So we gather that information, they come in and, think about it, especially in aging services. People come in, they do their orientation, and then generally that next day they're coming in and they're going to go to that specific neighborhood or the dining department or maintenance or housekeeping, wherever it is that they're going to go and work, community life activities. And then you're going to start going into your department specific orientation. For a lot of people, they might even be going to the time clock and clocking in. And so, you go through an all-day orientation, you have a lot of information that you're having to absorb. You're kind of just sitting there and listening to what could be 6 to 8 hours worth of information. Do we really think we're going to recall every single thing that was shared? Most likely not. You've been given a tour as well. And so our Joyologist is anybody that we have that's new coming in, and it doesn't really matter what shift that is. They're meeting them at the door. They're walking them to the time clock. They're going through that step with them. They're there to kind of answer any questions or kind of fill in any gaps or questions that people might have after getting a lot of the information that would have been shared with them on orientation. We use a certain platform that we use for our education throughout United Church Homes. And even though we go through the orientation process, I would say, like most of us, sometimes we have to do it 1 or 2 times before we fully grasp how you have to be able to do that. And so I know that right away, our Joyologists are following up with people on day 1 and day 2. They're going back and meeting with them and asking them what questions. We've made their offices in very visible locations that are easily accessible to our staff members, and they know that, so that if they do have questions when they're first coming on board, they can go to them and ask them questions. And like I said, they really are that successy ambassador with a fun name called Joyologist to really just kind of infuse some fun into this educational onboarding and making sure that they know what they need to do to be successful.
Yeah, it's super important. I think, what I've typically see is that a lot of communities will do something similar for like the new residents coming in, but it's so important to do it to the staff because, it's all the points you mentioned, right? If the staff's not feeling engaged, if you're, kind of having that in out the front door, out the back, it's just not setting anyone up for success. And I know you've mentioned you've got 2 Joyologists hired that, one's been about maybe 9 months, the other 6, but I'm curious, like, what impact have you seen this program have?
So the impact has been extremely significant. I would say that even walking into those 2 communities, the energy around them is just palpable. You can feel it. You can see the level of engagement that is going on at those communities. And quite honestly, there's many different things that we measure, as with any organization. And I'm not trying to tout one or the other, so I'm not really sharing lots of specifics, with the different organizations we use for education or how we monitor this. But, we do different in-house employee surveys. And so, a lot of our numbers not only exceed what the national average is for that, but they went above. So I will share with you, I actually pulled a question here from some employee surveys from, again, this group that we use. And in the second quarter, one of the questions was of new employees that were coming on board. This is at a community that had a Joyologist. Have you felt welcomed up to this point? And their response was 100%. Prior to that, in quarter 1, without a Joyologist, it had been an 83% margin. The organization cares about me as a person, went from 80% to 88%. I think I will be working here in 2 years, went from 90% to 94%. I would recommend United Church Homes as a place of employment for family and friends, went from 90% to 97%. But one of the things that has probably been most, when you take a look at the statistics, we also are tracking our hires. We are tracking anybody that is leaving us, and we are kind of looking at the net of all of those. And so I will tell you that year to date for one of those communities, well, and actually I don't want to be year to date. So this was coming up because it was by quarterly data. So at the end of the third quarter, we were in the positive 35 employees for that community, with the retention ever since the Joyologist has started. So that went to, it was a +4 at the end of the first quarter. That jumped to +16 in the second quarter and +15 in the third quarter.
Wow.
And then at the other community, which again, really, we only had almost one full quarter worth of data. And we went from being in the negative to a +13 in their third quarter. Wow. So you can see that that's very significant when it comes to retention. And when you have retention of staff, and you have consistent staff working in consistent neighborhoods, that is what's going to provide the best care to the residents, because these staff members get to know their residents. And when they know what's important to them and they know the programs and their needs, that's how you provide quality of care and quality of life. And it helps with relationships as well, because it's important to build those relationships between our residents and our staff and our families. We're all interconnected. And so relationship building is what the Joyologist really helps do, as well as just infuse fun and kind of really build that family connection of how the staff, residents, families, how we're all together.
Yeah, that's significant. I mean, it's pretty amazing to see the jump that you've had in terms of that, plus minus swing. And I think as an industry, I feel like every day I see a new article about the staffing issues, and not alone just in senior living, but just in general in a lot of different industries. And it's amazing to see, placing that emphasis on this role is really amounting to some of those positive differences. Mm-hmm. And so it seems like there's something there with the Joyologist. And I'm curious, like, where do you see the Joyologist program going?
So I can share that, we've obviously communicated, the information and the data and the statistics. We share that internally. We share it within our operations teams. We report that to our board of directors. And so our goal for next year is to continue with this program. We will, I'm not exactly sure what month it will be, but our plan right now is to bring a few more Joyologists on board in 2023, and hopefully we will continue to grow that from there. But we definitely see the value in it. Again, from the overall, employee experience, we are definitely seeing that. We're seeing that, and as a result of these surveys that we are doing with our new staff members who are coming on board, and those surveys are done, within a few days of starting, and then again at like 30 days and 45 and 90. And so you see that in those. But like I said, you can also measure it from just, how it feels in the community, what you're seeing, the smiles, the energy level, where you're at again with your staffing when you look at all of that. And I think it's also important to note that, when Renee started at Trinity Beaver Creek, and she actually had worked in our community life team at one of our sister communities, and she transitioned to Beaver Creek to take this role. And she is just perfect for this role. She's so outgoing, and she really wanted to get to know a lot of the staff. And some months your staffing maybe is better than others, and if there weren't a lot of people new coming on board, we were just encouraging. The Joyologists are working with all of our staff. This is not just for the new staff members that are coming in. Yes, we want to make sure that we're bringing them in and kind of integrating them into the culture that is United Church Homes in their specific community, but they're doing fun, engaging programs and opportunities for all staff. And, and some of those have also included the residents. And so I happened to be talking to Melanie this morning, who is our joyologist up at Parkview. And she, even mentioned the Fall Fest. And she had shared with me, she was like, Amy, she loves what she's doing. She was like, this has just been life-changing. She said, the fact that I get to be out there engaging with people and cultivating relationships, it just brings her so much purpose and joy, and that she absolutely loves it. And so we were talking about this Fall Fest that she brought to the community. And it was for our residents, their families, for our staff, and our staff's families. And everybody was out there having fun. There was food, there was games. We lucked out and had beautiful weather. But she said, just seeing the smiles and hearing the laughter on everybody's faces. And really, again, that kind of just gets back to what it is that we need, making sure that we're having connections with one another. Especially, we all know these last few years haven't been easy, right? We've all faced something that we never had to go through before with the pandemic, when for so long we had people that we were doing everything we could to keep people safe and protected. And yet, unfortunately, they weren't being able to see their families as often as they wanted, and engaging with one another in the ways that they wanted. And so we've found new ways to be able to be safe and yet engage with one another, but really just, uplift everybody's spirits and bring joy. And so the joyologists have kind of been this person that is creating these unique opportunities to really engage our residents and staff and bring everybody together.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's awesome. It seems like you guys are figuring out the right recipe there, and it's awesome to see the results coming through. And I'm curious, what would you say to other senior living providers that might be considering investing into a program to help improve staff retention?
I think that it's really important. We all need to listen to what our team members are telling us, and so, like I said, everybody's out there looking, for anybody that's out there trying to recruit, and you can bring people to your organization. I think you have to look and say, what is it that's going to differentiate us from others? What are the things that we're doing to, really want people to come and work at United Church Homes? And when they come and work at United Church Homes, we want them to stay. We want them to understand, we're a very mission-driven core value organization. But it's not just something that's going to be displayed on our walls or put on our website. We really want people to understand that, through every interaction that they have with somebody, they really truly can make a difference. You can help to create abundant life. You can listen to our residents. You can, help to bring them opportunities to engage in things that give them meaning and purpose. You can be that connector. You can help build those relationships. For some of our residents, they are so blessed that they have families that come and see them every single day. And yet we also have residents that don't have family. They don't have close friends. And so we become their families. And, I also, like to share with people, maybe you have a resident who, when they come to you, they have mild cognitive impairment. And over time, that becomes more advanced. And yet you learned their preferences and what was important to them early on. And so now you're their voice, right? You're going to be the advocate for that person that's going to continue to make sure that we are honoring the things that were important to them and providing them with the engagement opportunities and the foods and whatever else that were important to them, because we're going to do what we know was important to them because we got to know them. And so, living with compassion, sharing our hospitality, treating people with respect, those are all core values of United Church Homes. And it's up to each of us to help demonstrate those and truly live it each and every day.
Yeah, I love that. And Amy, my final question here for you, being that you are this Visionary Leadership Award winner, if you could just give other senior living providers just 3 guiding principles, could be staffing related, cannot be, wherever you want to go with this, but just 3 guiding principles as they head into the new year, what would you say?
With that, I would just say, find out what your residents want. Do your best to be able to offer programs, resources, and education to be able to make that happen. Listen to your staff, treat them the way that you want to be treated, treat them with respect, give them the tools to be successful, stay positive, and make sure that you're not, it's so easy for people to say, but we've never done it that way before. These are the ways that we have to do things, the processes. I think it's very important that it's okay to think outside the box and be willing to, try new things and see what positive results can come from that. The Joyologist program is one that, again, a very fun name that we came up with that gets a lot of people's attention, but really they are making a difference and bringing joy to the lives of our residents and our staff and everybody. And so sometimes somebody made the comment recently, don't just think outside of the box, throw the box away. And so really be willing to listen and try new things. Don't be a follower, be a leader.
I love it. Well, Amy, thank you so much for making the time here. I know this will be a great episode to kick off the new year. I appreciate all that you do and so excited to see the awesome things that United Church Homes. It's no wonder that you guys can continue to be leaders in this space. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And again, thank you for the opportunity. Happy New Year, everybody. Let's make it a great one.